It has been months since Dragonflight came out. We have a roadmap of what the things are. And as far as Project MMO goes, where are we right now? Let's go. The first thing I want to talk about is the trading post. I saw this advertised and I was like, this looks okay, but probably not for me as somebody who doesn't change cosmetics and stuff. And then I finally got to check it out and actually see it, and this thing is genius, like actual genius. For the people who want to play World of Warcraft day to day, it's easy to say there isn't that much farming if you've done the Renown farm. And as we saw with Dragonflight launch, people were pumping their Renown farm like it was Shadowlands, like they needed it, otherwise they were missing out on something. And people like grinded it out within the first few days, like managing to cap it by collecting dirt, shuffling through it like Shia LaBeouf, and then managed to, well, I've got nothing to do now. A classic thing, especially for the collectors who go out and do transmog and things like that and chasing those rare mounts. It wasn't... There's two things I really like about the trading post once I actually got down and looked at it. One, everything is nicely previewed. It shows you everything. You can lock in things that you're not sure if you're going to pick up because you're hoping for something next month and it depends on your points. All the things that Blizzard typically doesn't do well with predicting people might have a problem with. It's like, well, you got to get it now. Like corruption was like that, right? The corruption vendors, it's like, well, if you haven't got the points, it's going to go away. Unlucky. Ha ha ha. And this time they've come around and said, no, you can lock it in. Fine. It's totally fine. And it's a very obvious sign of the new management that is in at World of Warcraft. It's a very obvious sign of the kind of things like, no, let them lock it in. It's fine. Let's predict that. Some people will be right on the cusp, but they won't be able to afford something next time, or they won't be able to play enough. And therefore, they won't earn the points, and they might want to see what comes up next because they kind of want this thing, but they're not too excited about it. And now you can just lock it in and get it done. And a really nice preview. I, in fact, bought something. I had no intention of getting anything from the trading post because I don't particularly care for cosmetics. And I just browsed through and was like, yeah, I want that. I absolutely do want that. And I was shocked to find that. But more important is the Traveler's Log. That's the second thing that I really like about this. It's just rewarding people for investigating parts of the game that a lot of people will do this naturally, which is great. So it's not obnoxious stuff, which is what I thought it might be. I thought it was going to be like, oh, go and see the old world because nobody goes there. Go and do that. Go and do this. Go and take part in our seasonal events. That stuff's all there. And that's good to push people to try out things, especially with a game like WoW that's so vast that a lot of people don't really know what's available to them. It was actually one of Dragonflight's core problems when it's released, is the community was just, we're not sure what to do. And then more stuff started to unravel as time went on. It's like, oh, you can farm these like super bosses, and these give you like these really cool items. Now, part of that was a good discovery by the community, but it also led to a lot of nerfs, a lot of changes, because people are like, oh no, we didn't even test this stuff in the alpha and the beta, and now people are just hard farming everything and just going like MMO players like ants across the whole hill. So we do have that stuff, but they've also thrown in a lot of stuff that is day-to-day stuff. I was really surprised. They tend to like, or in the past, Blizzard has been very focused on rewarding you very specifically. If you do this, this is the reward and not much else. And it's been a bit of a problem for a while. It's like you will do, if you're doing Mythic Plus, you will get the vault and some Valor points because that's very specific to that area. If you go over here, you'll get rewarded for just that thing. So ever since BFA, actually, BFA is when they took it out. Legion rewarded you for everything with artifact power. Like, you would always gain artifact power regardless of what you did, and it was nice. And then in BFA, they took that away. It's like, oh no, if you want Azerite power, well, you must take part in this piece of content. You must do Island Expeditions. You must do this. And they started segmenting it out. So, like, if you fully enjoyed one path, you were only going to get rewarded for that one path. And if you didn't enjoy another path, tough shit, you had to go along that path because it was the only way of obtaining X currency or whatever. Now they've done it. It's like, yeah, it's dungeons, PvP. It's whatever you do. It's doing world quests. You'll still passively generate rewards in case, and if you're not fully invested in like completing your travel log, that's fine. Your natural gameplay will reward you anyway for giving you for stuff that you're naturally doing. So you're always going to be building up currency regardless. Those two things were really cool. Utterly shocked that it was a bit of a bum that it was bugged for the first few days, and people were like, "Oh, this is well shit." I mean, it's fine working now. And I'm glad I got to try it out. This is a great piece of kit. In terms of my targets then for World of Warcraft, I am kind of done with what I personally want in terms of Project MMO. Project MMO is what we're doing over the next month or so, which is to clear every raid boss in multiple MMOs to see how they're all diverged and split off to find their own successful path. That's going to be Final Fantasy XIV, where we're currently focused on Savage Raiding. We're doing Guild Wars 2, where we're going to be doing the raids and the strikes in that game. We've done one strike in that game, and it was phenomenal. And we're going to be doing Destiny 2 with their new expansion coming out, where they took the base MMO formula and spread it around. So in terms of World of Warcraft, unsurprisingly, I kind of hit my goals extremely quickly. Shouldn't be any shock there, because obviously I had established friends and family within World of Warcraft, regardless of where I come back. There's such a long history in this game that finding a team that progressed through the raid was not a difficulty. I'm not going to be going for Mythic Razageth. Not particularly interested in that. And we cleared Heroic. It was fine. That's a lie. Okay, let's be honest. I like the Heroic Raid. I think it was really fun. Group of friends. Enjoyed it. Blasted it. Didn't take too long, like a couple of hours for us. Except Razageth. I really did not like Razageth at all. I'm fine with gear overall making progress easier. And I've done several videos over the years about how you should be, after you kill a boss, your gear increase should make that boss easier the following week. Your most difficult kill should be the first one, right? That's a pretty logical place to be coming from. With Razageth, at least what my team found, is that it was essentially just a gear check. And the fight is either almost impossible at certain points, like because we got there very, very early with our group setup, and it was very small, and scaling's always a thing. But we're playing with like very, very good players who are all mythic clearing players. And we were like, we just kind of just missed the DPS here, even with everybody sort of min-maxing and pushing and doing whatever on our first week of getting there. And then the next week, the boss just fell over on like the first pull. It was very disappointing because there's so many just DPS check marks in that. It's like you hit certain things in phase 1, which bypasses a ton of extra damage. You can survive, but like you're getting the hint then, your damage isn't quite there. And then the platforms, if you're behind on damage, you simply do not clear the platforms in time to get into phase 2. And then if you scrape through by blowing more cooldowns in phase 2 to get to phase in the intermission to get to phase 2, then you've got the storm shields. And even with like optimizing there, it was just and then it took like 5 or 6 item levels on everybody from another week of Mythic Plus and things like that, and then the boss just died. I was a little disappointed in Razageth. Visually very nice, mechanically really liked it actually. I really thought it was fun. I liked what I did. I was tanking, and I love tanking. So only Razageth was a bit of a disappointment. I actually didn't mind Broodmother as much as I thought I would. My favorite boss is the Wind boss, though. I really enjoyed that, especially as a prot warrior, having Disrupting Shout. I could gather all the ads really nicely. I could bypass mechanics and stuff like that. It was really fun. Very much enjoyed that. Well, in terms of my personal goals, in terms of Project MMO, I will say, we've not stopped playing World of Warcraft because somebody's going to come out and say, he's quit again. No. But in terms of our personal goals, we're kind of done there. That's great. We've achieved what we wanted to achieve, and I'm more than happy to go hard again next season because I'm not unhappy with Dragonflight. I'll be logging in on a regular basis, do some M+, get my vaults, just steadily work up that way. But in terms of my personal day-to-day goals, I'm good. I'm really good, and I think that is a positive thing. It's exactly what I hoped Blizzard would leave. The taste it would leave in my mouth is that I'm really happy. I have no bad feelings. I've done what I wanted to do, and now I could just sort of maintain. I can spin the wheels for the next season of content, and that's cool. And the new season of contents look really good. It looks so fun. We know there's new raids coming. There's revamps coming to classes, and that might give me the opportunity to level those classes and have a play with them because they're changing Paladin, they're changing Druid. All those kind of things are really exciting for me. And that's where I stand right now. Now, I know some people are going to go, oh, so you quit? No, not at all. It's just in terms of our YouTube content and personal focus goals. World of Warcraft is is the easiest for me to complete because we already had access to all these resources while we were there. But I'm really happy with Dragonflight. Like, super, super happy with Dragonflight. There's the only bad thing. Let's break it down. The only thing that I do not like right now is the sheer amount of Mythic Plus needed to get, like, upgrades. It's a little too much. And if you miss a week because you're focused on something else and you don't have time to do, like, 10 Mythic Pluses in a week or whatever, and another Spark comes out, it's like another 10 to get an upgrade. And the only other alternative I know of is to go Mythic Raiding. And that will give you both. Now, I get it. It's very high-level gear. It still just feels like too much. And it feels a little overwhelming. And that's the real thing that I'm not happy with, is because I really like the crafting system. I have made friends. I've negotiated prices. It feels like a community. And I know there's cartels and stuff going on, and we might be doing a little project on that, the cartels. Our team is kind of looking into the cartel thing that's going on. To be done. It's because we're certainly not stopping any WoW YouTube content for now. And looking into that. But personally, I've not run into that issue. I've whispered people, I've had a little conversation with them, and back and forth, we've negotiated a reasonable price. I've turned people down because they're too expensive. I'm like, that's too much, too rich for my blood. Got really good friends with rerolls, and then both like high-fiving once we nailed it and got the right piece of gear. All that stuff has been great. Really cool. It's just getting the resource. Again, it's one of those things that feels like, 10 is a lot. Right? You're looking at 20 to 30 minutes a run. That's a lot of time commitment, but I understand. Plus, I will say this. I understand it's supposed to be a long-term progression path. But you have these sparks coming in just sat there, and you're like, I kind of want to do that. I kind of want to have that. Kind of want to make it work. So I think that's, and it's not even a bitter taste. It's just, it feels a little too much. It feels a little daunting. And a pressure on myself is, guess what I would say is I feel a pressure on myself to be like, oh, I think at this point, I need to do like 25 Mythic Pluses to get a couple of upgrades. I'm like, that's a lot, dude. That's a lot. And if I really want those upgrades without having to, you know, get into an organized Mythic Raid situation, that's kind of a bummer. Especially as it's not actually up to Mythic Raid quality. You know, it's close. It's good, but it's not quite there. I was like, nah. Nah. I'll do it slow and steady. That's my plan. I'll lead it up. I'll take the approach that I advise for you guys is we'll do it over the course of leading to the next season to get ourselves ready. But more than happy with Dragonflight. I've had a really good time. I have. I'm not chilling on WoW because I'm unhappy. And that's a really cool place to be. All right? Well, thank you very much for listening. See you again. Bye-bye. This thing is fucking genius. You don't want me to swear, do you? I know what you're thinking. It's like, swore in the first start of the minute. I don't know if it's 15 seconds or whatever, but either way.